AC, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, get a little background for everybody. Staff Sergeant, Department of Corrections.
Yes, sir.
Firefighter, EMT.
Yep. That's
Board member with Correctional Officers Association.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And mental health advocate.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah.
What got you? I assume you got into firefighting probably at an early age, like most people around here.
Yeah. So I joined the fire service. So it's a funny story. I was born and raised Greenwood, Delaware, pretty much most of my life. And then my sophomore year of high school into my junior year of high school, I moved in with my mom. My mom lived in Parsonsburg. Her boyfriend, my now stepfather, was in Parsonsburg Fire Department. So I joined there as a cadet.
In Maryland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like Wycomico County.
Yeah.
Kind of right over by like Warwick College.
Yeah.
So joined there as a cadet. Went through all the things in Maryland, and then eventually moved back to Laurel and was in Laurel until 2014 is when I got out.
When you go, so did you do fire school in Maryland?
Yeah, so I did it through Maryland Fire and Rescue,
Yeah.
so MIFRE. Had to go to Princess Anne.
Is it like law enforcement where like if you come over to Delaware now you gotta go through like another police academy or learn certain things?
Yeah, so they have like a reciprocity.
Yeah.
So like some of my training from Maryland converted, obviously.
Yeah. Then you gotta update other stuff.
The EMS stuff. Like there's different protocols.
Yeah.
Take a protocol test, challenge the National Registry.
Yeah.
And I ended up going through the whole EMS course or EMT course in Delaware. And that was probably like 2006 maybe.
A while back, yeah.
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 I like just graduated high school and like was going every weekend to fire school for
I feel like
EMT
that's
class.
popular though around here. Like most like kids get in it in like high school and then they just stick with it and go on for like 50 years.
And it's good. Like I didn't do it for the community service hours.
Yeah.
I did it because I had a passion from I guess my childhood, some things that happened.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to help other people.
Yeah.
So
anything specific in childhood that?
Yeah. So it all started with me. I was 12 years old. And my best friend died. He had a asthma attack, went into cardiac arrest, right around Christmas time. So it was actually less than a week before Christmas.
Oh man.
So that impacted me because at the time I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything about CPR.
Were you with him?
Yeah. So we were actually. So I was with him at his aunt's house.
Yeah.
So his family kind of lived real close to each other. So his aunt's house was, like right down the road from his aunt's house was his grandparents' house.
Yeah.
So we were walking from one house to the next, and he was like, "Man, I don't feel good," and I had no idea, like,
you're 12
about asthma. Like I didn't, and he collapsed, and it's what do you do?
Yeah.
So that stuck with me, through growing up. And
You were 12 then?
12.
What'd you do? Did you run to a house?
No, I literally sat there, and like
try to wake him up.
Yeah, like just trying to figure it out, and then had to wait for a car to pass by.
Yeah.
So like we wasn't really cell phones back then.
Oh yeah,
so like I could pull, these kids are so waiting for a car. 911 comes, and he didn't obviously didn't make it.
Oh man.
And the only thing I kept beat myself up about over the years was just like I failed him.
Yeah.
So it kind of reverts back to kind of part of your story, like those voices in your head, and then the what plays over and over is I couldn't save him.
Yeah.
And that kind of comes into play later on down the road.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Like I don't want to be that. Like I want to be able to teach CPR to younger kids too, so they know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I got into fire service. I was like, I don't want to be the reason that someone doesn't survive. or someone doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So, I say that, and I always bring up when I tell my story and I tell things that have happened. I always talk about the ACEs, right? So ACEs is acute childhood experiences. So it's, not really fun fact, but roughly 60% of first responders fall on the ACEs scale in one way, shape, or form. And part of that scale, parents being divorced, seeing death, witnessing death, abusive relationships, domestic violence, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And this mindset is that, like, I want to help other people.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into the fire service. And then when I got in the fire service, it was, you see a lot of things, but the mindset as you get older is different.
Yeah.
When I first got in, you'd see at a young age, I was seeing some pretty traumatic events, and then you're like, oh, I can deal with it. Like, it's, you know. At that time, you're around people, and the mindset is that, hey, like, you gotta suck it up.
Yeah,
like,
it happened, put it away.
You gotta push on. Yeah, you gotta compartmentalize, and that's part of that stuff doesn't go anywhere.
No, festivals.
And that's what one of the biggest misconceptions is. Time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
And time alone's not gonna do that. You have to put effort into it.
Yeah.
And those are things that I didn't learn until probably over the last few years.
Yeah.
So I went at a young age, obviously, my parents got divorced around the same time. I think my parents were divorced when that incident happened. But it was a lot of, like, self-blame.
Yeah.
As a kid. Like, you blame yourself for, like, your parents getting divorced. Like why aren't they together? It must be me. And I was, I was the middle child. Like, I had, my mom and my dad, they had 3 kids. And I have a couple other step siblings and a half brother when my dad got remarried. But growing up, it was 3 of us. I was the middle child. And, going through that alone was it was rough.
Yeah.
And it's something that I never wanted for my kids. And unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah.
So.
Man, that's a tough one, dude. You still talk to his family at all?
So it's really, it's ironic in a way, not really ironic. So as I got older, I stayed in contact with his dad.
Yeah.
And I'm still friends with a couple of his family members that are still alive. So when I turned old enough to drive, his dad always had a 1990 two-tone Chevy, like light blue, dark blue, and that was supposed to be JD's truck.
Yeah.
So when I turned 16, let me back up a little bit. So JD and we played baseball together growing up every year. His dad coached us. Like, we were, always on the field or, swimming at his aunt's house or whatever the case. Like, we were always together. So after that happened, I was like, I quit playing ball. It wasn't the same. So I quit for like a year. His dad reached out to my dad. I want to say it was my dad, and was like, hey, I want to go back and coach. And I think AC should come back out too. So took some planning, it took some thought, and, lo and behold, I decided to get back into it. And I felt it was nice in a way. I think it was kind of like both of our healing moments.
Yeah.
Of he's going back out there to coach. I'm gonna go back out there play for him.
Yeah.
Like, so he has this truck, and he's like, man, I'm gonna sell my truck, and he's like, it was gonna be JD's. I didn't want to get rid of it, but I'll sell it to you. So I bought it for like $500.
Oh man.
Kept it like all through high school.
Yeah.
So fast forward down the road, I had my first daughter was born in 2011, and then my son was born in 2015. So we found out, we're going to have a boy. And growing up, I always wanted Amos. So I'm the 5th. Right?
Okay.
So I'm there's a long line of us. My ex-wife, she was like, I don't want another Amos. I was like, all right, we can compromise.
Yeah.
Like, let's name him James because that was JD's first name.
Oh, okay.
Let's name him James. So compromise a little more. My son, my oldest son now, his middle name is James and his first name's Anderson, because her dad was South Carolina cop, worked for Anderson County.
Oh, okay.
So that's where Anderson came from. So before that happened, I was like, I want to reach out to JD's dad. So I'm like, hadn't talked to him in a while. It's been a little while, growing up. And so I put on Facebook and I was like, hey, we found out we're having a boy. Like, does anybody have, Jim's number? And I get like messages. So I get this message. It's probably right around August, I guess, from his niece. I want to say it was his niece that reached out and was like, hey, somebody said you're looking for Jim. I've got like some pretty bad news. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, look, I kind of want to talk to him. Like, I'm having a boy. Like, I want to name my kid after JD. I feel like I owe that to him. And he was like, well, he's at Jefferson right now. He had a, I think I want to say a brain aneurysm. I don't want to mess it up. And
yeah.
I literally get in my car, like get my vehicle, leave the house, and my wife at the time, she's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Jefferson." Damn. And I was like,
"Up in Philly?"
It was like 8:00 at night.
Oh,
so I was like, messaging this lady back, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm headed to Jefferson now. Like, I need to see him." She's like, "Well, don't do that because the visiting hours close at 8." And I said, I'll wait in the parking lot. Like, I don't,
yeah.
Like, I need to have this conversation with him. Like, she's like, well, he's not really gonna, know. And then she's like, what? We're up here. Call me, and I'll,
schedule it up.
And I'll, either schedule it or I think she put the phone up to it. It was like he was, he was intubated. Like, it was just not good at all. So I think she puts the phone up to his ear, and I'm like, hey man, it's AC. Like, I just want to let you know that, we're expecting a boy, and his middle name is going to be James for JD. I'm sorry that this all happened, and I'm having this like breaking down. I'm sitting at so the old Troop 5 in Bridgeville. Yeah. So like where OA Newton's is now, it's like Woodbridge is. Yeah. That's the light I'm sitting at, and I'm like bawling on the phone. Lights green. I'm just parked. Cars are beeping at me, and I'm just like, y'all go around. Like, I'm having a moment right now. Yeah. Like, so, I go to his funeral, I meet his family and all this stuff. And, now, my son, we go to, when he was like 2, we took him to like Woodbridge Little League. Yeah. And, there's a sign there for JD, like in memory of JD and stuff. So he's seen that. He wore number 2 for a number of years. Like, it was like, I don't want to upset Dad, like, but I kind of like Bryce Harper. Like, I want to switch to 3. I was like, all right, bro. Like, you're old enough now.
No big deal.
Like, it's no big deal. Like, you still know who JD is. You wore number 2 for a while. Like,
that's funny. That's good, man.
And then, now he's like all about Trey Turner. So he's like now number 7. He's been number 7 for a few years, but
he's figuring it out.
Oh yeah. So he's but we still talk about it, and we still have those questions, those conversations. Yeah. And it's just, that was. It was a hard time, like as a kid, like, and
12 years old, man.
Yeah, and I know some of the thoughts I had back then was just, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to talk to a therapist. Yeah, my parents made me go, and I'm like, all right. I mean,
didn't say much.
I just sat in there. He's sitting there for an hour, and she's like, "Do you want to talk about anything?" I'm like, "Nah." Yeah, I mean, it's like I was just defiant, like looking back, like I wish I would have opened up more.
Yeah, but you don't
back
know
then. But you don't know.
You're 12 years old. You don't know what the hell you're doing.
And it's just that, that just build up of all these things as a 12-year-old. Like you're trying to figure out childhood. You're trying to figure out like the teen years and all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
But in the back of your mind, you're like, "Man, my best friend died." Like, I was 12. Yeah. And and then as you grow up, you're like, "Man, I need to." You have this mindset of like, I need to protect my kids from anything like that ever happening. Right. And the reality is, you can't protect them from everything. Like they, so yeah.
Man, so you go get your EMT eventually.
Yep.
So when you get through, anything significant with EMT stick out with you?
So as like in the fire service,
Yeah.
so there's a couple of calls that always haunt me.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it. Like I didn't realize it at first, up until I'd say maybe I started piecing the things together like a few years back, of like certain triggers, and I didn't know like what it was, like what it reverted back to, like what what are these triggers coming from?
Yeah.
And it was and it's you sit there, you beat yourself up, like you just about like why am I like lashing out the way I am, or why am I just shut down and quiet and be in a room full of people and like not feel comfortable and just like we can't hang around or can't do things. So couple of calls that stick out. Like I said, I worked for Georgetown EMS for a few years before I started working at the jail, and second generation correctional officer. Like my dad spent 33 years as a correctional officer.
Oh man.
So he was like, man, it's it's a great job, like good benefits. And I'm like, back then, like working EMS, there was no real benefits. You got paid, I think it was like $12.50 back then.
Yeah.
You worked your, your 12-hour shifts, 24, 48s, whatever. It was just really, it was a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
You always saw stuff. So we had a call one time. One of the ones that sticks out is, so we had a call one time when I worked for Georgetown. It was a 3-year-old kid that got run over and drugged like underneath a vehicle, like in a parking lot. I'm not gonna say where.
Yeah.
But take care of this kid. Helicopter lands, takes off, and the scream of a 3-year-old that is in like that much trauma is a thought, like is one you never get out of your head. But I didn't think it bothered me. Like at that time, like I didn't think that bothered me.
Yeah.
The scream is, obviously the kid's alive. He's screaming, he's alive. But it was more so. So I go back. We get the kid loaded up, and I go back to the ambulance, and like I see the parents like sitting on a step, like no emotion at all.
Yeah.
And I start walking towards them, and my supervisor at times, she's like yells at me, and I'm like, I'm seeing black, like
Yeah.
And she's yelling. She's like, AC. And I'm like not hearing her at all.
Code black.
Yeah. And I'm like walking. And like she comes and she grabs him. She's like, get an ambulance, go back to the station. I'm like, but this is bullshit. Like,
yeah.
Like, how do you not have any emotion? Like your kid is in a helicopter. Your kid is taking off right now to AI DuPont.
Yeah.
And like, again, like back then, you just don't understand. You don't. I was still kind of young then. I was 18.
You don't understand
18,
how
19
it
years old, and
affects
you don't understand
people.
how people process things differently. I don't have any kids at that time.
Yeah.
And that call comes back to haunt me because now, like what I've learned, just over the last, few years is that some of those triggers were like my kids.
Yeah.
They're not screaming like a 3-year-old that got run over, but like they're being kids.
Yeah,
they're yelling, they're screaming, they're running around the house, and like all these different noises. And then they get arguing, and it's like, it's like, what, like why are we arguing? And I just go off. My wife calls it my CO voice. She's like, you get your CO voice out, and it's, and I try to catch it. I'm like, no, I don't. At first you're like, nah, you don't see it. Like, you don't,
Yeah.
So that was one. And I say these because the other one was, when I had command one night, and we got dispatched for a vehicle accident. And I get there, car into a tree, completely burst into flames. Like, I mean, hit this tree, huge sycamore tree.
Yeah.
And driver's still in there. And I hear this. I mean, he's burning alive. I can't get to him. There's nothing.
You can't do nothing at that point.
I don't have a truck on scene. Like I don't have anything. It's just me and a command unit. And again, that's like that thing of like, you don't think it bothers you. Like you're doing your job. Like I'm here. I'm doing my job. Like, it's not like it is what it is, but it's more of like there's nothing I can really do. Like you come to this realization that you can. And then the third one is. Got dispatched for a drowning. The drowning was in Milford. 2 10-year-old boy went in I think I'm going to say the Mississippi River after like a basketball or something. And this is...
I remember that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we come from Laurel, you know, we get in there, we get tethered off, and we're searching, and you know, you can't see anything. It's, you know, it's getting dark outside.
Yeah, that's some murky water in there anyway.
Like you can't see your hand, you know, 6 inches in front of your face, and you're just pretty much going off a feel. Yeah. So we're going along. I kick something up, and I reach back, and it's the kid.
So you were diving?
Yeah. 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 So and it was, again, one of those things that, like, oh, you know, I've done this before. Like, you know,
yeah.
Fast forward almost, you know, 10, 12 years later, I started having nightmares of, you know, the guy in the car, the kid that gets drugged. And mind you, now I have a 14-year-old daughter. Yeah. I have a, you know, well, not then. I have now, today, I have a 14-year-old daughter, a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So if you're a couple years ago, like my little man, yeah, as ornery as he is, he's, you know, it's not the kids who were there, faces I see. It's like my kids. Yeah. You know, and it's to the point where, like, it bothered me. Like, I didn't talk about it. I shut down. I wouldn't even talk to my wife. And my wife's like, you know, like, you come home and, like, you know, you sit in a chair all day, or you're come home and you're on your phone, you're scrolling. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, and you get defensive because you don't realize it, right? And I came to a realization that I needed to talk to somebody. So went through different therapists, and talk therapy wasn't for me. Yeah. And I was like, well, if all I'm going to do is talk to somebody, like, I'm not going to go just talk to just random people that don't understand, you know, this stuff. So I did like a lot of research. And this is post, you know, there's other things that happen along the way. Yeah. But those 3 calls are the ones that stick with me. Yeah. I never processed the right way. You process them okay now, like you know how to process. Yeah, so I actually go to I get EMDR treatments. Okay, and I don't know if you've heard of that or not. Yeah, I haven't done it, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah, so it is. Man, I tell you what, like, I heard about it and I was like, man, but there's nobody in Delaware that offers that stuff. Yeah, like I heard about it at a conference. Yeah, and I was like, there's nobody in Delaware that offers that stuff. So then I'm at this conference and this lady, she's like, I'm gonna find out and I'm gonna email you. So I'm like, all right, cool. So she emails me, and it's like, I'm like, oh, there really is. There's quite a few. Yeah, quite a few. Yeah. And I was like, wow, like, this isn't stuff that gets talked about. Yeah, no one gives you this information. Yeah. Yeah. And so I really started expanding. I was like, look, you know, we have to provide resources for first responders in general. Yeah. I remember, like I said, I mean, I'm probably jumping all over the place, but that's all right. Well, we'll go from there. We'll jump into when you get into corrections, because we're kind of leading into that now anyway, right? Yep. So so you got into corrections basically because that's what your family did, right? Your dad did it? Yeah, so my dad did it. And like I said, in 2008 when I started, like, I didn't have a family, wasn't married. But I always was like a forward thinker. I kind of feel like that way. Some people might not agree, but you know, I was like, all right, I want a job where, like, I'm gonna have benefits, I'm gonna have a pension. Yeah. Like, I want to be able to retire someday and, like, not have to work the rest of my life. And at that time, that wasn't an EMS, unless you went to, like, you know, Anne Arundel County, big city or county, big cities. So my dad's like, you know, it's the best job in the world. Like, you know, you get benefits, you can get all the overtime you want, like all these great things. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. Like, so I apply. I think something happened at my work, and I was, like, pissed off about something. I was like, you know what, bump this. Like, I'm gonna apply for the Department of Corrections. So I apply at 19 and a half. Like, when I'm 19 and a half was back then. That was when you could apply. Yeah. Started the academy the day before my 20th birthday. Which also, funny story is, my dad started the academy 2 days after I was born. So I started the academy almost three days before my dad's 20th, and almost 20 years to the day that my dad started.
Oh, wow.
So, so I go through the academy, and, you know, it's like, great. Hey, this is okay. A lot of stuff I know.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're in corrections. You wear a lot of different hats.
Yeah.
You know, you're a therapist one day. You're a counselor one day. You're an EMT. You're a firefighter. You're like all these different things, because it's almost like a little city.
Yeah.
You know. So you learn all these things, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, all right, this isn't half bad. So when I first got out of the academy, they assigned me to Sussex boot camp. I've never even heard of Sussex boot camp.
Yeah.
I was like, man, my dad's like, he's like, yeah, when you start, you're gonna go to you're gonna go to DCC. That's what what they used to call it. You're gonna go to DCC. Everybody goes there. You just gotta do your time. You'll be down in Sussex. I'm like, all right. So got out of the academy. Everybody knows who I am because my dad and I had the same name. My dad was an instructor at the academy for years. So
did that make it a little interesting for you? Like that,
very
like a little bit of hazing with that.
Yeah, so like in the academy, I remember like one of my first days, like, you know, my name's Amos, my dad's Amos, right?
Yeah.
So they're like,
nobody's gonna forget that.
They're like, they come on to me, they're like, hey, you're Amos's son, and I was like, no, and they were like, I'm like, no, like who's
you
that?
lying to him?
Yeah, I'm like, who's that? And then like, you know, of course they chew me out and stuff, and but I always, as a kid, like. So, I mean, I'll back up a little bit before I got, you know, as a kid, my dad was an instructor. Like, he trained probation and parole. He trained, like, hostage negotiation stuff. And so I used to go to do TAC house with him.
Oh, cool.
So they would do, like, they would do TAC house, and they would have, like, kids. And they don't do this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know that they involve children in these trainings anymore. So I think this is, like, and it kind of goes back to, like, the death of my friend. So like we're in TAC house one day, and it's like, all right, they're gonna come in here, like, and this probation officer, she's gonna play your mom, and when they go to arrest her, like, you're gonna come running out of the bedroom and you're gonna do this. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, all right, so I got it. Like, I got this whole game plan in my head. They got these, like, you know, fake guns that look real, like all the pins are taken out of them. They like want the kid to like show up with like the shotgun and be like, how they gonna respond? Like they just really want to get the response. So I come out the closet, and they're like. They tackle, like, they have my mom on the ground, and I just start busting out crying. Yeah. Like real tears. Like
really crying.
Bawling.
Yeah, not faking it was happening. Yeah.
Bawling my eyes out. So every recruit that's in there is like stops everything they're doing, gets hands off of mom, and we're like, why is this kid crying? Like, this is a training exercise. Why is this kid for real crying? They come check on me. Well, hey, it's still alive. It's
still a live scenario.
So mom gets up. She's like, get off my kid. She starts like slinging these recruits around, like, get off my kid and all that stuff. So afterwards, like, you know, my dad, he's like, you know, actual stop. Like, that was always like the key word for DTAC, and there's actual stop. So everybody stops. My dad pulled me aside. He's like, dude, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing. He's like, man, you were just bawling your eyes out crying. Like, something is wrong. And I was like, no. He's like, so you can just turn tears on? He's like, how did you do that? And I said, I just thought about JD. Yeah. And it was like, you know, it was the realest statement that I made. And I was like, so like from that point,
was that the first time you had done that, where it was like,
it's the first time I had done it.
Like, did you intentionally think about JD for that reaction?
So I didn't. They wanted me to pretend like I was crying. Like, that was the whole thing. Like we want you to come out.
So you just naturally went to that because that's something.
And I was like, all right, because I know that every time I think about that, that's the reaction I get. Yeah. To the point where, like, I would just try to, again, as a kid, I'm compartmentalizing this because I'm not dealing with it. I'm compartmentalizing, and I'm like, all right, I'm just not going to think about it. Yeah. So like at an early age, I was like, man, I'm gonna be a probation officer. Like, this shit's cool. Yeah. And so they changed the rules. I didn't go to college, didn't become a probation officer, but I was like, I'll go work for the department. Yeah. And that was a stepping stone. Like, for me, like, that was the plan I was going to use that as a stepping stone. Like my end goal was I wanted to be a cop. I want to be a cop. I want to be a probation officer. Most times back then, like if you had, the end goal was obviously like DSP. Like back then, you didn't necessarily have to have a degree. You could either have a degree or
combination
2 years,
of experience.
Or the experience part of it. And they would take your Department of Corrections time as experience. And I was like, I'm going to come here. I'm going to work for like 2.5, 3 years. I'm going to start applying for DSP. Never did that. I applied for a couple other agencies. Salisbury PD was probably the closest one. And then when I didn't get that, I was just like, you know what? Like at that point, I had like 5 years in the department.
Yeah.
I'm vested.
And you were comfortable.
Like I'm doing like cool things now. Like I'm working back at boot camp, and I'm I'm a DI, and like
how was the boot camp experience?
So the boot camp was it wasn't a place where I had initially. It wasn't even a place I knew about. Right.
Yeah.
I knew about SCI. I knew about SCCC or SVOP, and of course James T. Vaughn. And they were like, hey man, you're going to like it said like SBC on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is SBC? And they're like, oh, that's Sussex Boot Camp. It's like, what is that? So, I didn't know anything about it. So I show up my first day, and it's on, boot camp is like on the confines of SCI.
Yeah.
But it was its own entity, right? So I go back there, and at
so
this
is it
point,
like
you're
lesser offenses?
So there were a lot of, when I first started, it was first-time offenders.
First time, yeah.
So it was, they would get their time suspended for,
time at boot camp. It was like 90-day program or something?
Yeah, so it was 6 months. So they had 3 phases. So you had like a red hat phase, yellow hat phase, green hat phase. So it was 2 months in each phase. And then they would have 6 months of aftercare.
Gotcha.
Which was it was pretty cool because like I'm in Laurel Fire Department, and back then like Biff Lee, when they first opened boot camp in like '97, Biff Lee was he was a legislator, and he was one of the ones that kind of pushed for it.
Put it together, yeah.
And it was great, it was great, but over time it's one of those things that program gets watered down.
Yeah.
You're not getting the types of offenders, so then they have to start changing it to,
the whole landscape changes.
Yeah. So the training changed. I remember, so I go to boot camp out of the academy for 6 months, and I'm just a CO. Like I'm not assigned there. Like I'm just really just a CO who isn't really learning how to jail. Yeah. Like, so I would work overtime. Like my dad was a lieutenant over VOP. I'd go over there and work overtime just to like, hey, like this is how you really like
get
jail.
Some experience.
Yeah. And then so they send me up to James T. Vaughn after 6 months. And my end goal was I'm gonna go back to boot camp. Like that's where I want to go.
You liked it,
yeah. Like I enjoyed it. It was high speed. Like you go there, you'd PT every morning, and there was there's a method to it all, but the PT part, the paramilitary, and it was something like the military was nothing I ever did.
Yeah, and I would imagine I guess inmates that you have in there, they're not looking to fuck around and screw things up. They're trying to get through this program so they can get out. Yeah,
because some of them are looking at 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, so they don't want any problems.
For 6 months in a level 5 facility, and then 6 months of aftercare. Yeah. And there's some that have gone through that program and been very successful. Yeah. Out in the community. And there's some that have been back.
Just can't get right.
Yeah. And you're going to have that.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the programs are. But yeah, so I do that, and I come back to boot camp. I worked boot camp until 2012, and then I transferred over to SCI. And I've been at SCI ever since. Yeah.
How you like it there?
It is it's not what it used to be. Of course, jail's not what it used to be.
It changes with times.
But I made it a point to do a lot of different things. Yeah. Right. I didn't want to be stagnant. I didn't want to get complacent. Like I didn't want to work the same place all the time. Yeah. But I will say I've been very blessed and fortunate within the department to do a lot of different things. But I was also young and dumb sometimes, so I made some mistakes.
Yeah, we all do that. Yeah.
But it's not bad. There's like anywhere else, you're gonna have bad officers that have to be weaned out. And,
for sure, yeah. Anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. And it's just unfortunately, it's when bad things happen, you know, the whole department looks bad, and you know how that goes everywhere.
Oh yeah, man. Stains everything. Yep.
So
guilty by association.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So
anything there that's I mean, you're still there, so you probably can't say too much, but anything that stands with you that you can talk about?
So within the department itself, so in 2017, and this is something everybody knows about, we had a major incident at James T. Vaughn, and we ultimately lost one of our officers up there, Stephen Floyd. So this particular day, around this particular time, I was actually in a little bit of hot water. I was being investigated for an incident that happened. And I have, you know, we have terms like, you know, I was on PC, like I was, you know,
common practices. Yeah.
So like, hey, you know, you're not going to work, you know, this area. We're going to put you back here.
Yeah.
So I worked the building. Actually was boot camp, but they shut boot camp down and it became a programs building. So this day happens and they're like, come across the radio. You know, you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
They just put everybody on lockdown and, you know, put all the offenders on their bunks and stuff. And you know, you think, hey, it must be a drill or something. Like nobody's coming in. I had a captain come through the building. I was like, hey man, they got a drill going on? He's like, oh no, man, it's you know, it's pretty bad. They got an incident going on at Vaughn. And I was like, all right. Still not really thinking anything of it. And then
because you guys don't have like communication with your phones and stuff like that.
No, yeah, not. I mean, so you have like, you know, I was working on a bay that day with like no computer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just monitoring inmates. The inmates have a TV. So I'm sitting on the bay and I'm like, man, like this isn't good. Like this has been going on for like all day.
Yeah.
It started at like, you know, roughly 10 o'clock in the morning. So he comes by and he's like, man, you know, he tells me, he says, it sounds like they got a hostage situation and Floyd is still in the building. And I was like, shit, like this is real serious. So the sergeant who was working that building that day is when I kind of got irritated, right?
Yeah.
So like,
did you know Floyd?
I did.
Okay.
So my time with COAD, like, it's he was a VP of James T. Vaughn. So he was on the e-board. Like I'd see him at every month's meetings. We'd have conversations. When I first started up at Vaughn, he was the VP up there, and I didn't know anybody. And there was something dumb happened. They marked me AWOL while I was on vacation.
Yeah.
So I had to like fight it, and I was like, I don't know anybody up here. So I took a buddy of mine that I knew that was a shop steward downstate. And he introduced me to Floyd up there. And he's like, man, he's a good guy. Like, he'll take care of you. And I was like, man, I'm sorry. Like, I just didn't know who you were. But I worked with him after that in Charlie building. And he was very by the book.
Yeah. Squared away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Squared away. Like, he had rules and, you know, he enforced the rules. But they, you know, we don't put the rules in place. We just have to enforce them, right? So when that happened, and I'm like, man, this is shitty. Like I'm sitting on a bay. I'm helpless. Like there's nothing I can do. So the sergeant in my building is like, hey, you can let the inmates off. They can watch TV. They can do this. And I was like, no, like they can't. So at first, like I'm like, you're a sergeant, all right. Like, and then when I find out like how bad it is, like how bad it really is, I'm like, hey, everybody on the bunk, TV's off.
Yeah. So
she comes on there and she's like, hey, they're allowed to be off the bunks. I said, no, the watch commander put it out and said everybody on their bunks.
Yeah.
Like no TVs on. So she's adamant. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna argue with you. Like I'm already in enough trouble. Like I'm not gonna argue. with
you're not trying to make it worse.
So turn TVs on. TVs come on, like 12 o'clock, like breaking news, and it's everything that's going on.
Did the inmates get riled up with it?
At first, so as soon as I saw the breaking news and I saw James T. Vaughn, I turned the TV off.
Yeah.
I said, not happen. It's not going to happen. And I made a phone call. And I said, look, this is what's going on over here in this building. You know, back then there wasn't cameras. So, like, you know, now there's cameras everywhere. Like, the watch commanders can sit in their office and they can see what's going on in the tiers. They can
everywhere.
Make those phone calls. I'm like, look, this is what's going on. Like, someone needs to correct her and let her know that this isn't acceptable because the inmates just saw on the news because she ordered me to turn the TV on.
Yeah.
And then it's off now. and they were hot. Like, they come over there because they were just like, all right, these, last thing you want is this to expand
Oh,
to
yeah,
other
yeah,
institutions. They're like,
yeah.
oh, this is going on up
Give
there.
them ideas and stuff.
Yeah, let's start something up down here, and it's a
Yeah.
dormitory setting.
Yeah.
Right. So I get through that day, and I go to the watch commander, and I'm like, I said, what can I do to help? They're like, man, we can't send you. What do you mean you can't send me? Like, they had sent staff to Vaughn. I was like, what do you mean you can't send me? They're like, well, they don't, with the amount, like the stuff that you're in right now, like we don't want to send you up there. And I said, fuck that. Like, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. So I like go out to my car, and I'm like, get on the phone, and I'm like, call James Vaughn. I was like, hey, I work at SCI. Like, what can I do to help? They're like, man, we're not allowed to take anybody else in. Like, nobody's allowed to come up here. Just go home. So I go home, and it's like I go home at this time. I'm like, I'm by myself during this. So like my ex-wife and I were not together anymore. My kids aren't with me that day, and I'm sitting at home like in an empty house, and I'm, everybody's like on social media. There's a scanner app, and you can listen to the whole thing. And I'm like sitting at home, and I'm listening to this thing, and I'm just like, takes me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't do anything. I'm helpless. Like, couldn't save him.
Yeah.
So like that stuck with me because like here I am, dealing with some other bullshit, and then I can't even help. I can't go up there.
Yeah.
And there's other stuff about it that I won't get into.
Yeah, sure.
Come see me in 8 years. We can sit down and
we'll
talk.
We'll do episode 2.
Yeah. But like that, that bothered me. So then fast forward probably a couple of days later, I'm working that same building again, working programs building. And they, had a mini thing go on, and inmates are like, that's their newest thing then is, oh man, we'll treat you like Floyd. Like we'll just have an incident at SCI. And that just, they know what they're doing. Like
yeah.
They know it's an emotional time.
They're pushing buttons. Yeah.
So we escort this guy out to the building, cuff him up, take him across, and put him in segregation and stuff. And besides that day, the worst comment that really kind of had my wheels turning was I had a staff lieutenant look at me, and he was like, man, you're lucky this incident happened. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Lucky it happened.
Yeah, and I was like, what do you mean? Like this one? He's like, no, you're lucky. You're lucky that this Floyd incident happened, because if not, man, they were going to try to fire you. This might, your stuff might get swept under the rug.
Distracted it.
And I looked right at him and I said, if I lost my job and Floyd could have kept his life, take my job.
That's a fucked up thing to say.
Yeah.
On their behalf, on his behalf.
And I was just like, I couldn't believe it came out of his mouth, and I was like, dude, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Like, out of all this stuff, that's what you decided to say?
There was no point. Why even fucking say it?
And I was just like, I said, so I carried that because I'm like,
yeah, for sure, dude.
Like you've now compared me having my job to this man having his life.
Yeah. Doesn't even make fucking sense.
His kids, his kids having their dad, his wife having her spouse. Like it's no comparison.
Yeah.
And
what an idiot.
Yeah. So it's like, that stuff happens, and I'm like, some of the stuff that came afterwards, there's large incident, and after action reports happen, right?
Yeah.
Critical incident reviews happen. They bring in an outside agency. And I can back up a little bit before 2017. And I think I talked to you about this already. So in like 2014, I got my trainer for the department. So like before I came to the department, I was a trainer for Delaware State Fire School. Went through the method of instruction, all that good stuff. Came to the department, I'm like, look, I'm already like, I have all this stuff. They're like, oh, we don't recognize it. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Like I'll take another T class. Like it's cool.
Yeah.
So back then the department offered one. So you had like a DOC sponsored T for T, and then you had like Office of Management and Budget did a separate one, which was open to like all state employees.
Yeah.
And they only offered it each one only offered it once a year. So couldn't get in DOC one, signed up for the OMB one. I go to this training, and I'm like the only correctional officer there. And it's like
It's all civilians.
actually there might have been one more. I think he's a K9 guy now. I think him and I were in the same class, but I'm not 100% sure. So I go, they put you in this group, and it's like, you know, I'm the correction officer. Like, this person works for, you know, all these different agencies throughout the state. But everybody, you know, common goal is we're all want to be instructors. So part of the curriculum is you had to create a lesson plan, you had to create a presentation, you had to deliver the presentation. So I create because, you know, to me, mental health, due to my childhood and stuff, is like important to me. And I sit back and I'm like, all right, I want to think outside the box. Like, I don't want to do like, hey, how are you gonna make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Like,
yeah, right.
Let's do something like realistic that
Has meaning.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? I said, I think I'm gonna create a training on suicide prevention for correctional staff. And when I told the instructor that, she was like, what? I said, yeah.
Yeah, because people don't talk about that shit back then.
Nope.
Mental health was not on the radar.
So every year I'm mandated to take suicide prevention for inmates. How to recognize the red flags.
Yeah.
What to do if they say they want to kill themselves. Like all these different things. But where's the training for us?
Yeah.
So I do a lot of research, and in 2014 there wasn't a lot. There was one article that I found from it's like National Department of Justice or something, did an article on law enforcement suicide and correction officer suicide and like why that happens and the statistics behind it. So, you know, this is, you know, I take stuff from there, kind of take my own life experiences and working in corrections and seeing the things I see, and I do this training and it was very well done. Like, yeah. I got, you know, everybody in the class was, you know, they're just kudos. Like the instructor's like, she's like, I think you should present this to the department.
It was accepted pretty well then. That's pretty good.
Yeah. From the instructors there and from people outside looking in, it was like,
was something new. People didn't do that. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So at first I was like, I don't know. Like, how's it going to be received?
Yeah.
All right. And I was like, you know what? I put all this effort into this. I'm going to go. Hey, I'm going to shoot my shot.
Yeah,
right?
run with it.
And so I go and I speak to the deputy director of training back then, and I'm like, hey, like, I think I have this training idea. And I really want to see what you think about it. So I was like, she's like, well, what do you got? I was like, all right. So I tell her, she's like, no, we don't have a need for that. I said, what? What do you mean? So, I mean, I'm like, it's 2014. I have like 6 years in the department. Yeah. I'm not trying to ruffle feathers.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, I'm not trying to burn bridges.
You're tone pole there a little bit. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, you know.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Tuck my tail between my legs, you know, walk out of there and head home.
Yep.
2 weeks later, we had an officer from SCI that killed himself.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks after this conversation. And I took it personal.
Was he at Sussex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was and I don't want to put his information.
Yeah,
I mean, the guys who I work with know who he is, but so like I took it personal, and I was like, at first I was like, why are you taking it so personal?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not like somebody you knew, but I took it personal because I was like, man, I didn't fight hard enough. So like all these things like revert back to I couldn't save him.
Yeah.
And those are things that like I never like realized up until, you know, a few months ago.
Yeah.
So it's like all this buildup of stuff, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I just let it go. And then you fast forward to a couple years ago when I first met you.
Yeah.
I think you spoke about like mental health and first responder in the first responder world, and I'm still like dealing with all these things, and I'm like not even realizing I'm dealing with it.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you heard me speak, you weren't dealing with all this stuff yet that was coming up.
I was and I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like it was all like compartmentalized stuff.
Yeah.
Like the nightmares hadn't really necessarily started.
Yeah.
Those things weren't at the forefront. But like some of the other stuff was there. Like some of the other, like I listen to you talk and I'm like, man, like I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what you went through, but like the aftermath, right?
For sure.
But I was a firm believer then that like I don't qualify for what I would think PTSD looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I've seen PTSD. Like my brother, love my brother to death. My brother was diehard Marine. All he ever wanted to do since he was 10 years old. And I mean, I've seen the effects of war, and that's what I attributed PTSD to.
Yeah.
PTSD, whatever. Like I didn't go to war. I
Yeah.
didn't do this stuff. Like
I think a lot of people think of that. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a military thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when I started going to the therapist I see now, I sat down with her and I was like, look, I said, like, she was like, I think we should check you for this. And I was like, she's like, are you all right with that? And I said, sure, why not? And the results came back and I was just like, all right. Like I kind of got quiet.
Yeah.
So fast forward to like our next visit, and she was like, how you doing? I said, look, be honest with you, like I feel like guilty, like a little bit ashamed, and like I don't know how this is possible. So she's like, all right, she's like, I'm gonna give you this other test. And I was like, all right. So it's like a life experiences thing. It's 17 questions.
Mm-hmm.
16 of the 17 questions I answered I've either dealt with firsthand or I've, somehow been a part of it.
Yeah.
And that changed my whole mindset. And I was like, all right, now what? Like, what do we do? Because at first I was like, it's a diagnosis.
Yeah.
And as a diagnosis, what do we think? We're like, oh, that's what I'm defined to now.
Yeah.
And that's the initial.
That's who I am now.
Yeah, like that's the initial, and I'm like, that doesn't have to be that way. Like, there has to be a fix, and a lot of guys don't want to face, guys and girls don't want to face that. So they go to negative outlets, right? Whether it's alcohol, I never went to alcohol, I never went to drugs. Like I'm not really a big drinker. I'll drink. Yeah. On occasion.
Right, yeah.
When I'm with buddies, and sometimes I can drink a beer and be like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Sometimes I can drink a beer and be like, yeah, this tastes pretty good tonight. Like, right? Yeah. But like it's all not, moderation. It's not like hey, I gotta get off work and I need to go get a drink to like drown this stuff away.
Yeah, I gotta get out tonight. I gotta go have a drink. Right?
Yeah. And I tried it. Like I tried that. I was like, oh yeah, just what everybody else uses that outlet. Like but what's the harm in it? But it didn't work for me. And so it was just trying to figure those things out and work through them. Yeah. So I had this new, this new passion of like, there has to be resources out there, and like these resources have to be easily available. If it wasn't for my own research, like I'd have not known about some of the resources. Yeah. I'd have not known about Trauma Specialist of Delaware. Like, yeah. And that's a big one. Like they're all over the place. And
that's the thing. It's like in our first responder community, like no one gives you these resources. No. Like even like all my shit happened. Like I'm in the hospital, I get out of the hospital. I didn't know about shit. Yeah. Like nobody came to me like, hey, there's all these resources for you. I didn't have fucking anything. Yeah. Like everything that I did, like either I found it or my wife found it. Yep.
And that's the, so from the union side, so it's it's kind of, I told somebody earlier, well, how are you gonna tackle this? And that was kind of a question I asked myself. All right, like I know this is real, I know this is what people go through. Yeah. But now what? Yeah. Like we can bring awareness to the topic of, first responder suicide. And we can do all these things. We can bring awareness. We can have PTSD awareness. Yeah. But in this day and age, in 2025, 2026, like if we're just talking about the awareness side of it, like we're behind the eight ball. Mm-hmm. We've probably been behind the eight ball for a while. Yeah. So like, what do we do? Like, what do we do for our people? And one of the biggest things that from my standpoint, and it's, no real fault of my department. We're a state agency, so every state agency has an EAP.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is every state agency has the same EAP, and it's one of the biggest things talking to staff that I work with and talking, with my role with the union is these people don't know what we deal with.
Yeah.
So what are, do they specialize in, are they trauma informed? Like, do they specialize in trauma? Do they specialize in all these different things? Or am I going to tell them, hey, I went and, saw this guy do this, this, and this, and like play it off, and they're like, man, you're messed up.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not used to it. So I had that conversation with my therapist, and I was like, this is what I feel the holdup is. One of the holdups, right?
Yeah.
Is one, it's an EAP, it's a state agency. They don't trust it.
Yeah.
Like they have an obligation. And that's it's really it's a myth. They have an obligation if you say certain things to report it. Like if you say, hey, look, like I'm sitting in my house right now and I'm talking to you on the phone and I'm, gonna blow my brains out. Like, yeah, they have an obligation to report that.
Right.
As far as things you talk about, like that's supposed to be between you and them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, it's a misconception, but at the same time, it's like, am I getting the help I need? Like, am I getting what I need? So I talked to my therapist about this, and I was like, you know what? I said, yeah, we have an EAP. She's like, well, here's the problem. And she said, you have some people. So when you call that number, they just assign you to like a therapist or a counselor or whatever. It's somebody completely random. It's like, hey, TJ Webb, you're next on the call list, so we're gonna send you this guy.
Yeah.
Right. But the counselors and the therapists and all this stuff that sign up on there that are part of that group, like they may not. Some of them don't even want to deal with trauma.
Yeah.
She's like, I have people that I went through college with and stuff that she's like, man, I'd much rather deal with, the 14-year-old girl with boy problems than deal with trauma. Like, I don't even want to hear about it.
Yeah.
And
so how much are they going to help you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, and then you have the issue of sometimes you call and you don't get a call back for 2 or 3 days. Damn. Yeah. So like we bring those issues up, right? And it's since changed. We changed vendors. The state changed vendors. And I said, look, if I'm in a crisis and the only thing that is offered to me is an EAP number that you want me to call, mm-hmm. and I call and I leave a voicemail, and that person calls me back 3 days later, there's a high chance that the person who answers that phone when you call back isn't going to be me. Yeah. It's going to be a grieving spouse or grieving significant other. Yeah. Or no answer at all.
But then you don't want to talk to them.
And then it's like, oh, I needed you 3 days ago. Like, I don't need you now.
You have a small window.
Yeah. And so from the union now, like I started using other resources, like reaching out to other places, like 1-800-COP-LINE. And I was like, hey, look, we're corrections, we're in Delaware, we're considered law enforcement. Do you guys recognize us as law enforcement? Can I use your number? They're like, absolutely. Pass it out. Yeah. So it's like, all right, awesome. So they send me all this stuff, and I'm like, passing out cards anybody I can think of. And again, it's like no slap in the face to what the department offers.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, hey, look, this is another resource. Yeah. It's not affiliated with COED. It's not affiliated with the Department of Corrections. It's an outside resource. It's a 1-800, like it's a hotline number that you can call. And then through that, like I found all these other, resources. Like there's a text line, there's all this stuff. And through all that, I've been able to build like this. There's power in talking, mm-hmm. right? And I didn't realize that. Yeah. So like you just have like conversations with people, and I'm like, hey, look, this is what I've been dealing with, and then they just open up. Yeah. And it's like and it's like the floodgates open because they found someone who, man, this guy is kind of like me in a way. Yeah. And that's what got me on, like, I feel like I can talk about, like, I feel like I can talk about this stuff. So, in September, I went to a conference in Atlantic City. So it's first responder conferences. and went with a couple other people from work, from the union and stuff, and sitting there, and like everybody that spoke for the 2 days I was there, I looked at the guy that was with me, and I was like, man, I said, why is this motherfucker talking about me right now? like every single time, right?
That got me down.
And I'm like, man, like this is wild. Like
yeah.
he's like I deal with the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like this. Before then, the passion was there, and I was like, you know what? If he can reach out and resonate with me, like I feel like this is something I could do.
Yeah.
And I was again stuck in that place of where do I start? Like, okay, this is something, but like, am I ready for it?
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it's like you just have to take that leap of faith. Right. So I get asked, and I talk to legislators, and we have our lobbyists to the union, and I'm like, hey, look, like this is kind of what I want to do. Like this is not necessarily the speaking part, but like,
yeah,
I want to attack this mental health thing from every angle possible, from the department angle, from the union angle, and from a legislative angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get champions from every place. Like I don't want it to just be Amos's idea, right? I don't want it to just be from co-ed. I want it to be from, law enforcement, from fire, EMS. Like I want to. It's an epidemic.
Yeah,
that's going on. Like
for
suicide in first responder community is an epidemic, and you don't hear about it enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that the suicides themselves you don't hear about enough, but you just don't hear about the outreach and the resources and what's available enough. And I said, where do we start? And I said, look, so start doing research. And I was like, you know what? I said, I'm a firm believer that leaders aren't going to wait for resources to come to them. They're going to go find the resources.
Yeah.
So I just went and started finding resources. I was like, all right, this is what we can use. These are some things we can do. So the first thing is that a few years back, the state, they put a bill out, or they proposed a bill to make suicides under certain criteria a line of duty death.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, I don't disagree with the bill. I think there's a need for it, but why don't we put something in place to prevent it from getting to that level? Like that's the extreme.
Yeah, right.
Like that's worst case scenario, right? So I started doing research on Delaware code, and PTSD, and all these different things. And I said, our Delaware code for PTSD and a line of duty is or as a workers' comp eligible claim is very minuscule, right? Mm-hmm. It has to be like within 90 days reported of the incident.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Like I'm this is someone who's speaking of experience. Like I didn't start showing signs or realizing signs until 10 years later.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, I'm not saying that that's the broad window.
Yeah.
But what I've found is that for first responders that's different from like the military. And I'm not taking anything away from the military at all.
Yeah.
What's different from the military is that, these guys go overseas, they see a bunch of trauma, a bunch of things going on, explosions and everything else, and the gunfights. Where first responders, ours is more cumulative,
mm-hmm.
right? It's this call and this call and this call.
Day to day.
And what I realized was after kind of going back, is that I was finding myself, and this is like self-reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, this is where did this begin? Like, why 10 years later, right? Why all these things? So my wife and I moved into our house in 2020, like during COVID, right? Before that, man, I was like in the gym. I was powerlifting. Like before COVID hit, I was actually, it's funny, I tell her about the time. I said, so right before COVID hit, like I had just completed a competition. I was powerlifting at like 105 kilograms, and I was trying to jump up to 120. So at 105, I was already close to the record for 120 for like all three lifts for my weight class and age group. And I was like, that's what I'm going for. Like Delaware State Championships coming up. Like I'm going to go for it. Hopefully I'm going to go to nationals. Like I had all these plans, right? COVID hits. So I start bulking up. So I'm like, all right, I'm just, I'm going to get the, usually I'm lifting at that, but I need to lift heavier and then cut back.
Right.
So I start bulking up. COVID hits. Well, Amos stops going to the gym because the gym shut down. But what Amos doesn't stop doing is Amos don't stop eating. So I'm still bulking up, right? So we move, and it's like I said, during COVID, like we were talking about like adding on to our house, and we were, couldn't get anybody to come out there. And then we move. So we move on the other side of Laurel, almost like past Bethel, Sharptown. Yeah. So I like don't realize it. I'm like, every day, one of those 3 calls that I talked about, I drive past it every day. Mm. That scene. And I'm replaying that scene in my head. Don't even realize it. Subconsciously just doing it. And I see it. And there's been times like I've like been with my wife and I was like, I don't know why these people cut this tree down. Like, it's just like she's like, you say that every time we drive by. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna tell you again. Like, like, so, and it took me until literally 2 months ago to realize, like, it clicked. And I was like, that's why.
Yeah.
I ride by there and it's replaying these things. And now all these things that I've never processed are replaying in my head.
Yeah.
And then, some of the other, the other places I work in Georgetown, I drive up and down 113. Like, I see the helicopter landing in the middle of the highway.
Yep.
Never processed that the right way. Never knew how to process it. And was never taught how to process it. So it's, and it's all these things, and I'm like, all right, we're going to process this stuff. Like, I start seeing, some of the things that I dealt with as a kid, like I see my kids deal with now.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the worst part. I think this is the worst part about it. Like, the last thing you want to do is like, or the first thing you want to do is like protect your kids from everything. Mm-hmm. And then when you start shutting down and not talking, now you see like your kids start shutting down when they have something going on and not talking. It's like, but you got to talk to me. Like, it's as parents are like, just let's just talk about it. Let's figure it out. I'm good, Dad.
Yeah.
First off, I know you're not, because you sound like me right now, and I know for all these years I wasn't good.
Yeah, man.
Right?
They get it from us. They get everything from us.
And it's like, okay, so how do we bridge that gap? Like, how do we stop that? And I've learned to be pretty open and honest.
Yeah. You talked about the EMDR earlier. Is that something are you still doing that now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I still do that. It's actually very eye opening.
Yeah.
To me, like, it's not what, you get your, like, you envision like what you think these I guess treatments are going to be like.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know.
Yeah.
And so it's it's a mixture of talk therapy. I'm like, all right. So when I first went, I was like, hey, I want to get EMDR treatments. Like, I've heard about it. Like, I've tried everything else. Talk therapy is not working for me. Like, the only time that I'm happy is like when I'm watching my kids play sports.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. Like, right? Like, I should, and I love my kids, and I love my wife, and I love everything that we have. But it's like, man, like, I get out there and watch my kids play sports, and it's like, that's where I'm happiest, right?
Yeah.
And it's because that's where, like, it's the distraction.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not thinking about anything else except for my kids and what they're doing, and so go to my first appointment. I'm like, I reach out and I'm like, hey, like, you guys offer EMDR? Yeah, we do. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I want to start that. So I go there. First, like, 4 appointments, it's talk therapy, and I was like, look, like, I'm not really good at this talk therapy stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, well, so we she's like, it's part of it. We're gonna have to, like, set a base. And I was like, all right, cool. So it was it opened my eyes, because it was like, again, all these stuff that I'm like this, that's not me. Like, I can't have PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, my I didn't serve my country. Like, I didn't serve in the military.
Yeah.
And those things, and I was like, and then she breaks it down, and she's telling me, okay, let's try this. Let's do this breathing exercise. And I was like, breathing exercise? Like, I want to do a breathing exercise. Right? And it's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then, like, I really started, like, buying in, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm in it. Like, I'm in it. We're going to figure this out. So there's all these different things that you do. Like I don't know what my thought was like when I first went in.
Yeah.
Like
we probably didn't know much about it. So
no,
yeah.
like I didn't do a whole lot of research on it. Just that, hey, this is what seems to help a lot of first responders, a lot of law enforcement and military guys. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Like if it's if I don't have to talk about my feelings, then let's go. Right?
It's like a shortcut.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, right.
Like it's
that's
not,
what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's the mindset, right? And it's far from it. So we sit down and like I go back. I actually went back last week and like something happened, something minor, and like it kind of like it popped me a little bit last week.
Yeah.
And maybe a week before, and I was like mad, and I'm like leaving work, and I'm like all pissed off, and she's like, so the week before she one of this is it's she tells me to like, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this, but it's whatever, I'm gonna talk about it. So she tells me, she's like, all right, I want you to like make a box like a tote.
Yeah.
And like I'm sitting there, I'm thinking like, all right, I'm thinking like the little black plastic tote with the yellow lids that you see all over the place. I'm like, all right. She's like, now I want you to put this stuff in there. She said, but you need to make sure like it can't get out. And I'm like, what shit? That's gonna leak. Like it's like all the stuff that like I'm processing.
Every
like
little detail,
yeah. So at the end, she's like, so how fortified is your tote? And I said, look, I went from a plastic tote. So at first I went from like a Tupperware container, like that you put food in. And I was like, that shit's not big enough. So then I went to like the plastic tote. And I was like, and then you told me that it can't get out. Like I had to make sure. I was like, well, that's plastic. Like it's gonna break.
Yeah.
And then I said I went to like a fortified metal tote with like welded corners and like everything else. And she like starts laughing. I was like, I don't want this shit to get out. Like I want to put it in there and like be done with it.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, good. We're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
So I come back and she's like, so did you practice it? I said, look, I actually used that tote the other day. She's like, what do you mean? I said, so I tell her what happened, and I'm like, call my wife, and I'm like all frustrated, not with her, but just about a situation. Yeah. And she's like, just breathe. And I'm like, I am breathing. Like and I was like, and then I'm like, look, I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna take care of it. Like,
Yeah.
So I get off and I'm like driving home. I said, you know what? What am I like stressing about this for?
Yeah.
I'm putting that tote. So I opened up my tote, threw this shit in there.
Yeah.
Locked it up, turned on my podcast, and went home and got home, and I was a totally different person.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Put it away.
I got home and my wife's like, she's like, you want to talk about it? I said, nope, it's done.
Yeah.
What's done is done. Like,
it's kind of like you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it's funny you said that, because like one of the things I tell my kids all the time, and I always tell them with sports and everything else, is like you have to control the controllables. Yeah. Like that is like my phrase. Actually, I want to say I got it. My son catches, and I want to say I wanted to put it on his glove. I don't know if I did or not. I can't remember. No, it was too much. It was too many letters. But it's what I tell them. It was just like it's a reminder. Yeah. And at first when I told them, they like looked at me and they were like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "All right, let's break it down. Let's break it down step by step. What can you control? You're on a baseball field. What can you control? Can you control what the umpire calls? Right. Can you control what the pitcher pitches? Can you control, but what can you control? You can control your attitude. You can control your effort. You can control how you react, right? Those are things you can control. I said, and those are the things that are going to take you further. Right. There's a lot of things in life we can't control. Yeah. And it's, it comes full circle, because I'm like, I asked my, I told my therapist, and I was like, look, I said, I don't understand how I can go out here and I can talk to people about all this stuff, and I'm still dealing with it. Yeah. And, or like how I can tell my kids, like give my kids advice. And she was like, unfortunately, that's how you're wired right now, but we're going to fix that. She said, because a lot of the things that you're telling people are things that you need to practice. I said, yeah, I know. Like, that's my point. Like, yeah, I think these are, and she said, I think it's part of it. I think it's the things that I wish someone told me. Yeah. Right. Like younger staff, like I'm, 18 years in, I have 7 more years to go before I can retire. It's like, I wish this is stuff that I learned, instead of, hey man, maybe this job ain't for you. If this bothers you, maybe this job ain't for you. Maybe, if
you can't handle it, get out of here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it was like back then, it was like, man, you just compartmentalize it. You didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't talk about it. then you just went on about your day.
Yeah.
And that's the stigma that I'm trying to change. And it's, I feel like it's a long time coming.
Yeah.
But now it's being received, right?
People are listening now.
Yeah.
Like within the department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, I've been asked because, I'm a staff sergeant. I always had, like, when I first started the department, it's like, what's your why? Like,
yeah,
it's always been like a question, like, what's your why? Like, where do you foresee yourself being? And I remember sitting in the academy, and the commissioner at the time, the commissioner at the time was Carl Danberg. It was he was the bureau chief at the time or something, I think. Was a guy who graduated the academy with my dad. And he said, where do you see yourself being? I said, look, I just want to outrank my dad when I retire.
That was the goal.
Like,
yeah.
Like I want to be, and I think that as parents, like, that's our goal, is like, we want our kids to be better than us, right?
For sure.
So I just want to outrank him.
Yeah.
And now my mindset's completely changed.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm in a position now where, I'm on the executive board of the union. Like, I'm able to speak to legislators. Like,
yeah.
I have
you went down a different path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was like a lieutenant promotion that came out, and everybody was like, hey, you gonna put in for lieutenant? No. Why not? I said, because when I go to lieutenant, I'm just a lieutenant.
Yeah. You gotta leave all the union stuff.
Yeah, all the union stuff I gotta put in the past. Like, I'm gonna have different responsibilities, and like, this is my passion.
Yeah.
To get the word out there about mental health, get the resources out there, fight for additional resources, fight for not just corrections, but the first responder community as a whole.
Yeah.
And it's a work in progress. But I've had been blessed to meet some wonderful people, like, along the way, like like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
And that's why I, got the passion for actually, like, speaking and putting myself in that vulnerable position. Because one, it's, it helps me with my
it's therapeutic, man.
My growth and
yep.
And post-traumatic growth, but it's just,
yeah,
it's great. And then every time I came on here, and I'm like, I remember after I met with you, and I overanalyze everything, and my wife, like, she gets on me all the time, and I was like, I talked to you last week, and I remember going to bed that night, and, like, I couldn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
I was like, it was like a mixture of, like, nervous excitement.
Yeah.
And, like, all right, how's this going to come across?
Yeah. How are you going to relay your message?
Yeah. Like, how am I going to make it? And I was like, man, I couldn't sleep. She's like, what do you mean? I said, man, every time I fell asleep, I kept seeing TJ. And I was like, I don't want to see TJ when I go to sleep.
That's good.
She started laughing. I was like, man, it's like, I've been watching, like, his podcast. Like, I already know what the room looks like. Like I'm, like, preparing myself for this. And
it's a lot, man. Like, even now, like, I've been on a lot of podcasts, but even when I go on, I'm like, all right, what's my game plan? What's my plan of attack? But eventually you get to the point where it's just like, you're just going to sit down and spill it and shoot the shit.
And that's what I told her. And she's like, a couple days later, I was like, all right, I'm good. And she's like, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm good.
That's funny, man.
I said, maybe we just,
Yeah.
I said, I've watched, like, probably every one of his podcasts right now. I said, man, it's just going to be two guys shooting the shit.
Yeah, that's all it is.
You know what I mean? It's just.
But I do the same thing. I always watch some before I go on there just to see how, like, the vibe is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and
cool, man.
It's just, and it's telling her, like, I told her, I was like, because I told her, I remember when I first met you at that conference, I said, I had something else I was supposed to do that day, so I had to leave early. I was supposed to leave early, and I was like, I'm not leaving. Yeah. Like, I like rescheduled it, and I was like, man, I've been wanting to hear about this for forever now. And, like, I saw you, like, on the itinerary. I was like, oh yeah, I'm staying for this one.
Oh, good, man.
And so, like, I stayed, and like, we're sitting there talking, and you talked about the rehab place you went to, and I was like, I know exactly where you went.
Yeah.
And so I asked her, because she works for that company.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty certain if it's the same one.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
They have multiple locations now.
Yeah. No, they do. Yeah. So she works there, and I'm like, she didn't work there then.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know that's where he went. Like, it's, and so the other night she's like, who's this guy? And I'm like, babe, like, I told you this story. Like, I was like, remember I told you the guy that, you know, and he went to, she's like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah, that's song going. She was like, oh, that's cool. So we're going to talk about it. And I was like, I don't even know yet. Like, I don't even know like how this is going to come across, but we're going to go. And we're going to,
so far so good, man. It's been good.
Far, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of things that,
yeah.
And I feel like I was raised in a very like religious household.
Yeah.
Right. So like I could go back and there's so many different things that have happened, and I was always like, you know, hey, there's a purpose. Like,
yeah.
And it's sometimes your purpose is going to change, your why is going to change a little bit. But at the end of the day, like you're put here to do something.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's my purpose.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. That's how I feel too.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, again, control the controllables.
Yeah.
Right. You know, can't control, you know, what,
yeah.
you know, what the doctor said after your incident. It's like, okay, so what's next?
Yeah.
Right. And, that's just, and that's what I always said. Like I remember being a kid and I used to like, I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this. And then the realization came that like, man, you can't, like, you gotta live in the now.
Yeah.
And I try to, you know, make a habit of like not saying, I can't wait for this to happen.
Right.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate truth of the way, you know, the way life is. Sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's what I've, you know, tried to live by, and just try to get the message out there.
Well, you're doing a great job, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get more guys on to share some stories, so
yeah,
I'm glad you came on, gave some insight on some stuff, and shared
8 years I'll come back.
8 more years, man. We'll come back, finish it up with some other stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Get some good stories out of you.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I appreciate you coming on, man, sharing it. I know it's not an easy thing to do for a lot of people. But I feel like you said earlier, it helps, right? Helps you and helps other people, and grateful you came on to share a little bit of it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Appreciate it, brother.